Oh my God.
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to a very special bonus episode of the Horror of Babylon, brought to you by Horsemen Comics and Gaming, where we review The Princess Bride. I am Ryan. With me, as always, is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
And Hef is here, too.
Life is pain.
And anybody who tells you other is selling something.
Inconceivable.
One of my favorite quotes from the movie. Thank you to our patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben the Fourth, Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yo.
And a special thank you to the sponsor of this week's episode, For Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, at the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it into the store, say hello to the Sicilian proprietor, Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. He will drink anything that you hand to him.
Oh, now I got plans for date night.
As long as it's non-alcoholic.
Hey, I'm not alcoholic.
A trigger warning. This is a kissy book.
Ew.
So, if that's triggering for you, watch out.
Maybe we can have a little kissing.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there are 5 of the most romantic and passionate kisses of all time, but I think the one at the end, I think it'll top them all.
The other four are me and Hef.
I don't even get one.
We do other stuff that makes lists.
All right, so our history with The Princess Bride, Daniel, Hef, and me. Go.
My dad made me watch this a few years ago, or like decades ago, I guess now. When you get into your 30s, your sense of time gets really skewed.
Like in Roland's World.
Yeah, they're just all in their 30s, that's what's wrong.
I'd actually not watched this movie until a few years ago. I'd heard about it forever, and it was it's actually one of my dad's favorite movies, and my dad is a person who doesn't like anything, ever.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I think that's typical of coal miners.
Yeah.
Oh my god, all the pieces of Hef are falling into place.
Yeah, he's real gruff. But this was one of his favorite movies, and I don't know, I found it at like Walmart for like $5 in a bin, and I was just like, we'll give this a try, and I watched it, and I mean, I was not expecting, like, I'd heard it was really good, didn't actually expect it to be as good as I found it.
Similar, I didn't see this, I never saw it as a kid, even though I was aware of it. Didn't watch it until like late 20s, early 30s, and I've had issues sometimes when I've heard about a movie my whole life and then don't see it until I'm an adult. It's not always as good as it's made out to be. Not that I think they're bad, it's just it doesn't meet up the expectations that I've had. Like, I've had that experience with Blade Runner, The Goonies, Alien, but normally on multiple rewatches, I appreciate the movies more. This was the total opposite. Very few times in my life have I finished a movie and then just played it again.
Same.
I did that with The Princess Bride. Watched it back to back, was absolutely blown away. This is almost everything I want in a movie. It's amazing, and I love it. It's one of my all-time favorites. And my daughter also really likes it, and she we rewatched it together for this podcast, so that made it all that much better.
That's very sweet.
I had the opposite reaction in my household. I showed this to all my family at my house, and not a single one of them liked it. I did turn it on one more, like, about a week ago for this podcast again, and I got my wife to sit down, and I'm like, listen, just you and me, let's watch this movie, no other people around. I'm like, see if you like it now. And she had much better things to say when it was in that sense, where she was like, okay, if it's just you and me here watching it, I'm paying attention more, I'm getting stuff. So her opinion has changed since watching it the first time, which I was very happy about.
Beck thinks it's annoying.
But
I also don't expect her to like it.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of one of those, it's kind of like one of those movies, like, if you get it, you get it, but if you don't, it just probably seems odd.
I don't think there's anything to get. I just think either it jibes with your sense of humor or it doesn't.
And I just think the movie's just okay. It's one of those things where I think the movie's fine, but I hate the fan base.
I'm not sure I've ever had like a interaction with a fan. I mean, I know it's popular, but
yeah.
I guess I'm also one of those people, like, if I like something, generally, like, I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to a fan base. Like, if I like something, I like it. I don't really talk to a whole lot of people past that.
Yeah, but I'm addicted to social media, so I end up interacting with people that I don't want to.
I mean, maybe, I guess, but I don't know. I've never had that issue.
I've had that issue with Death Note. Well, I've had that issue with many animes.
I would actually compare the fan base to Death Note's fan base.
But I guess outside of anime, I don't have that issue too often, and I haven't had that issue in a long time since I don't go to conventions anymore. So
I feel like this movie...
Going to a convention in our 30s would be a trip.
Yeah, I'm not... Yeah, someday.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie kind of has like a similar vein of like fandom as like what a Monty Python fan would have.
Yeah, Monty Python is another good comparison.
Yeah, because like
you're
on board or you're not.
When they get going, they'll just keep quoting it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. I've seen the movie, yeah.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
So, background, this movie is based on the novel The Princess Bride, S. Morgenstein's classic tale of true love and high adventure, the Good Parts version, by William Goldman. So the author is William Goldman. The fictional author is S. Morgenstein. S. Morgenstein is the author that is quoted in the movie. My daughter, she watched it with me, and she heard Columbo say by S. Morgenstein, and then she saw the credits at the end of the movie based on the novel by William Goldman. She's like, why didn't they use the guy's name in the movie? I'm like, it's called metafiction. And we had this big discussion where she didn't get it, and then I said, okay, the Tale of Beetle the Bard is written by whoever it's written by, I can't remember, but it's by J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Books within books.
Books within books.
Yeah.
Not dissimilar to Charlie the Choo-Choo by Beryl Evans, which is actually by Stephen King.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's metafiction night here at the Horror of Babylon, because we're also recording our episodes on Charlie the Choo-Choo and the Wastelands tonight. This film was released on September 25th, 1987, which is like a year and a month before I was born. A year, a month, and a week before I was born. It was directed by Rob Reiner, who famously is up there with not Frank Marshall, the guy who did The Mist. Oh, shit.
I should also know this.
Frank Darabont.
Thank
Frank
you.
Darabont. So
Oh my God.
Most fans would say it's between Rob Reiner and Frank Darabont who does the best Stephen King adaptations. Rob Reiner did Stand By Me in Misery. His other famous films include, but are not limited to, When Harry Met Sally, This Is Spinal Tap, and A Few Good Men. The screenplay was written by the author, again, William Goldman, not S. Morgenstein.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible three-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Moving on to structure and themes. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyway. Has anybody read the novel?
No.
Also, no. I've been meaning to for years, and it just never comes up.
I also have not. I want to, but part of me is afraid to, because sometimes when I read a book that a movie I love is based on, it hurts the movie.
So my plan is to get the book, physically have it, and then in my head read it like Peter Falk.
Yeah, I would like to read it to Drake and Emma. That would be cool.
The Princess Bride.
I don't know if I can do that. By S. Morgenstein. Ugh, yeah. Okay, cool.
In my head, it's perfect.
So I think the first thing, for me, what this movie is most famous for is its frame narrative. And in my opinion, which I'll admit is biased, this is a masterclass in frame narrative. But let me defer to somebody who is less biased. Daniel, what do you think?
Oh, I hate it. When I know that a story is fictional in another story, I stop caring about the characters. And I know that's really dumb, but it's like, it creates a disconnect in my brain where I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't matter because they're not real even in the movies universe.
I can attest to this because the first time Jackie watched this movie, that's exactly the problem she had with it.
Yeah.
She said she didn't like where they kept cutting in and out between the story and the actual like book being read. Like, she said it took her out of it every time.
I think it adds an element of charm. I like having stories read to me out loud. I grew up with my dad reading to me and my brother at bedtime every night, and also not only reading but just telling us made up stories. So it brings me back to that. And I think Peter Falk is an amazing narrator, and I've seen a lot of Fred Savage as a kid. I watched a lot of Wonder Years when I was a kid, so it's easy for me to put myself in that spot. To me, this is like one of the best frame narratives of all time.
I've mentioned before I have a weakness for stuff like this, where it's kind of read to me in a kind of a, storytelling kind of manner. It's kind of funny because we've had a few of those pretty recently back to back, I feel like, because we had Eyes of the Dragon, and then we had another one more recently, and I'm blanking on it.
Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Oh yeah, like stuff like so. I have a penchant for these, so I'm a little biased myself.
Same.
The only difference with those two, like whenever I'm reading those, is that they're recounting events that supposedly actually happened, where in this one he's reading a fictional book to his grandson, and that just creates a disconnect in my brain.
And it just doesn't in ours, I guess. So,
yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just that's one of the reasons that my enjoyment is like hampered.
I also have a lot of like, I really like. To me, there's a lot of points of this movie where it feels so, like the humor is just so British, like it's so dry, and
yeah, no, I can see that.
And that I'm real big into like British like entertainment, and the drier it is, the funnier it is to me.
I do appreciate how wholesome it feels. Like you have the granddad reading the story. Like the whole movie's just has a really warm feeling.
Like even like in the characters like even kind of weirdly like giving respect to one another. Like during the sword fight, I love that. It's just like two gentlemen having a duel. Like I just think that's.
It's a shame they have to kill you.
Yeah. It's a shame to die. It's so I agree with you that the feeling is very much warm in this movie.
Yeah.
Themes. The theme is true love.
Yeah,
yeah. No, that's not. Yeah.
As you wish.
No.
Oh, we should have opened with an "As you wish."
That was part of the intro.
Okay.
I think it has a unique tone. I could see like some people watching this and saying like maybe they get a little tonal whiplash, but for me, this is the only real example of a movie like this in my head, where it has basically like the humor of a Mel Brooks movie or a Monty Python movie, but also bounces between that and like the drama of like a classic romance. And to me, like the serious scenes are serious and the funny scenes are funny, and it's blended perfectly for me personally. And I've never really seen another movie like it, or at least one that was so successful.
I would have once again, I've mentioned before, like I have a lot of problems with like when things try to meld each other like into each other. Like I've mentioned before, like the Pet Sematary was one I struggled with because some of the parts of the book felt so different from some other parts of the book, and this one's very different in the sense to me, but at the same time, like I look at it clinically, I'm like, but it's doing the same thing. It's taking humor and drama and kind of like merging them together, But for some reason, this one just doesn't bother me, and I have no good reason why. It just works. Yeah.
Perception matters. It's just how you perceive it.
Yeah.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Characters. So first we'll talk about the real people, and then we'll talk about the not real people. Hef, what do you think of Fred Savage as the grandson and Peter Falk as the grandpa / the narrator?
I love Peter Falk. I grew up watching Columbo with my dad, again, who doesn't like things. And like anything Peter Falk, like I'm just immediately going to gravitate towards. Like he's one of my favorite voices of my youth because he's just so distinct.
I've never seen a single episode of Columbo.
It's funny because like ordinarily like you would have a lot of like many people have a problem with not many. There's like most of them are dead. But Columbo is one of those things where like you actually the episode always starts out with you see the murder and you know who did it.
So you're just watching him get to that
conclusion? You're watching him get there.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Like every episode you know who did it ahead of time. What you don't necessarily always know is why. And then the rest of the episode is him kind of coming to the conclusion.
I might have to watch Columbo now just to see how that works.
It's good. I like it. It's not. It's made to be more entertaining than mystery filled.
Yeah, it sounds like the exact opposite of like most detective things.
Yeah, because you know going in. But I love Peter Falk. Fred Savage is weird in a sense to me. I don't know. Like I didn't grow up with Fred Savage. The Wonder Years was not something I watched a lot. Every time I saw this kid, I kept thinking that he was the kid from Boy Meets World.
That's his brother.
Yeah. So that's my As a kid actor, he's fine.
I grew up with him, so I love him. But
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Falk's voice is completely unique. I love it. It works so great as a narrator, even though I don't know him from anything else. This is what I know him from, but this is enough.
I don't like Fred Savage, mostly because I don't like the Wonder Years. So every time I watch this movie, I'm like, oh, it's the Wonder Years kid. Watching it again, like at 36, I'm like, he plays a kid who would rather be playing video games very well.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I can kind of appreciate that now because I'm like, hey, I was that kid.
He's a good actor.
Peter Falk, I really don't have a lot to say about because I don't have much of a history with him. I think he did a good job, and that he's a big reason for that like warm feeling I was talking about. He plays Grandpa very well.
He's like chicken. His voice is chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, so it's a voice I wish I had.
Yes.
So
okay, let's talk about the not real people. Carrie Elways, a.k.a. Wesley, a.k.a. Dread Pirate Roberts, a.k.a. the Man in Black, a.k.a. the star of my favorite pirate movie of all time. Oh my god. Baron in human form. Somebody else talk, because I'll just keep going.
I can't. I gotta go change my pants. I love Carrie Elways.
I do too.
Like, all he does is play himself. That's it. He's just a sophisticated British man, and I could literally watch him read the phone book. I like this movie because, like, I feel like he has most of the movies that you see, he's always kind of like that, you know, very sophisticated, very like well-to-do kind of British guy. I like in this movie how he gets to kind of really show his comedy chops. Like, he's got very good timing for like.
This was his first comedy.
Yeah, and
Rob Reiner was too hesitant to hire him, and what won him over is Carrie Elways did a Bill Cosby impression in his
what did he give a girl a bunch of drugs?
No, this was the 80s.
Oh, okay.
It's probably like Jello pudding pop.
Okay.
I don't know, but that won him over. And then of course we know him as a comedic actor now because he's gone on to do Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh, yeah. He's got such good timing. Like he knows when to and physically too.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this movie, I mean, the last part of it where they're just getting him around.
Hold on, I have to Google something really quick.
Yeah, where they're just dragging him around. Like he's got good physical comedy, and then he's also just got he understands like comedic timing. Like he knows when to pause.
And
he's in Saw.
Yeah,
he's 100%. Yeah.
Okay, he's the Saw guy.
You may also know him from.
I love him now. This movie's great.
You may also know him from Glory, Liar Liar, The Cat Returns.
Yeah,
he's in Liar Liar.
He's the one who's macking on Jim Carrey's wife.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know actors that well, so...
The Cat Returns is up there as, like, one of my favorite Ghibli movies, and most of it is just because Carrie Elways is the Baron.
He's in Glory, which was the Civil War film that Denzel Washington won his first Oscar for. In that movie, he plays with Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, and Morgan Freeman. And Carrie Elways is just the most amazing fucking cast. Highly recommend that movie. Wesley... He's just so cool.
Wesley, who's actually right-handed.
I think the part that won me over the first time I watched it was definitely the duel scene, where him and Inigo are just so absurdly cordial and respectful to each other, and they're both so skilled and talented, and they both do the exact same mind game with each other. I just absolutely loved it. And then just to see him also then face Fezzik and then face Vizzini, it's so easy to root for.
Yeah.
And I sometimes get exasperated with protagonists. I usually tend to prefer the side characters. I usually prefer the Han Solo to the Luke Skywalker, or the Samwise to the Frodo, and spoiler alert, I also prefer Inigo to Wesley, but Wesley is so cool still.
Also, Carrie Elways has appeared on the show before as Lord Arthur Homewood in Dracula.
Yeah, we won't talk about that low point in his career.
But he was the best Arthur Homewood, though.
Yeah. I don't remember him being adapted in any of the other versions of Dracula I saw.
So Carrie always wins.
He absolutely wins.
A default win is still a win.
That is very true. That is very true. Robin Wright as Buttercup.
And this was her first movie that they...
It was her first big theatrical movie.
Yeah. I think they pulled... They did they went through several actresses before they found her, and I guess there's a story, if I recall correctly, where I think the writer was with them during casting, and she just randomly came in on the behest of one of her agents, and he said when she opened the door to come in, this ray of light came in behind her, and he was like, "This is my Buttercup. It's not close," and they cast her that day.
Yeah, she is a very beautiful woman.
She is.
You may know her better as Janae from Forrest Gump. She's also Wonder Woman's Obi-Wan character in all those DC movies. Antiope. She's the general character from Wonder Woman. I don't
know how to pronounce the name. I know who you're talking about, but
Antiope.
Yeah, if I try to pronounce a Greek name, I'm gonna get in trouble.
I love how mouthy she is. She's halfway to Princess Leia. She doesn't her issue is she doesn't get in there and start fighting like Leia would do, but she's just as fucking mouthy, if not more, than Leia is. I will be rescued. Wesley will be here. He will take care of it. You can't. She's not some weepy, sleepy Princess Aurora who's just going to get locked in a tower and you're not going to hear about it.
First part of the movie, I'm just sitting there being what a snot.
She is a total snot.
She's just farm boy. I'm leave the farm boy alone. let him be his thing.
I mean, yes, but
she grows on you over the movie.
I like women who know what they want, and I like being told. So
I also like women who belittle me a little bit. So
a little bit, yeah. So I'm for it. My funniest experience watching it this most recent time is listening to Emma yell at the screen when Wesley is getting murdered by the rodent of unusual size, and she just stands there. There's a sword. She finally gets a stick. She doesn't hit it. She's nudging it.
She just jabs it in the head.
And she's hit it with a freaking stick! Grab the sword! Stab it! Do anything! He's literally getting killed. Mandy Patinkin. Inigo Montoya.
This is the epitome of what every man should be.
Yeah, someone kills your father, you go on a 30
20-year quest to kill him.
his climax scene is up there as one of my favorite scenes in movies, period.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's fantastic.
Where you're talking earlier about like the mix of comedy and drama or whatever like that, this is the apex of the drama.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene is just so, like I'm on the edge of my seat every time I watch that scene.
You have
like
6 fingers.
That scene gives me goosebumps every time I watch it.
I agree. It's amazing. And what's so cool about it to me is like sometimes when you like hear so much stuff about a movie and then you finally watch it, it never meets your expectations. Like perfect example, I went into The Sixth Sense knowing that Bruce Willis was dead the whole time, and I'm like, oh, that movie was kind of boring, and didn't think it was that great. And I've heard the Inigo Montoya line a million times throughout my life, but when I sat and watched this movie, it still swept me away like I had never heard it before.
I think what gets me, it's actually, the line that really, like, gets me going is actually said by the Count. And it's when, like, Inigo's getting back up, and it's when he just looks at him and goes, are you still trying to win? Like, I'm not lie, I was like, I get hard every time that happens. I'm like, oh yeah.
Sometimes you gotta play through the pain.
Oh, it's so good.
He's a good villain.
He is.
He is a good villain.
Like, he's so malicious.
I also we've already talked, I love the rapport with Wesley. I love his friendship with Fessick. I love when they're in the woods and Inigo is resisting being arrested, and then like Fessick like picks him up and stands him up, and he does this like look up to Fessick, and he sees it's Fessick, and he's like, oh, and he's just so happy that Fessick is there.
Fessick took great care. Joke wise, like my favorite line of his, like it's because it's kind of just slung in there, and if you're not paying attention, you'll hear it. And it's when they're on the boat and like Wesley's coming up behind him, and he just like he's gaining on us. I wonder if he's using the same wind as we are.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think I heard that the first time I watched the movie.
It just slided right in there. So good. No, Inigo Montoya, high peak of manliness. Love it.
I agree. If I had to make any criticism, I think we need to see more of his chest hair.
Yeah. I like a good chest hair.
The actor who plays him, you don't see him in a whole lot of stuff.
No, I looked at his IMDb and I knew like nothing else.
There's only one thing that there's two things. If you watched, I think if you're a procedural cop person, I think the earlier seasons of Criminal Minds, he was like the lead detective in that. The thing I know him the most from is I think it was an HBO or Showtime show called Dead Like Me. Is where he's a Grim Reaper, and basically like they just like that's their job is it's kind of like an office, like not the office, but like they treat it like an office like scenario where like all these people are Grim Reapers and they're basically just living outside of what is actual life for humanity, and their job is to just basically take people back to the.
I remember that show being on, but I never actually watched it.
It's really depressing. Like it's kind of one of those like macabre kind of like dark humor kind of shows. Mm-hmm. Like it has its moments, but overall it tends to drag. But he's really good in it.
Speaking of being really good, Wallace Shawn is one of my all-time favorite actors.
Yeah, I love this dude.
And he is, of course, he plays Vizzini. And he's in so many things. It's hard. It'd be hard to mention them all. So just particular favorites of mine. I just really love his role in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And I'm not the biggest Young Sheldon fan, but him and Young Sheldon is absolutely hilarious.
He's just Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
I might watch Young Sheldon now. He's
Sheldon's mentor. So actually, like, Young Sheldon is okay, but what I like about it is like it has like all these. It has a secondary cast of old people. Annie Potts plays his Meemaw. Wallace Shawn is his mentor. Craig T. Nelson is Meemaw's boyfriend. Ed Begley Jr. is also a scientist who wants to get with Meemaw, but Meemaw hates him. It's these old people and their sexcapades are like secondary plot lines that makes the show worth watching to me, even though I'm like 2 years behind on it. to Beck's eternal chagrin.
This guy delivers the best joke in the movie so fast that you barely register it.
Land war in Asia?
The land war in Asia line is the best joke in the movie, and it's so fast.
It's something like, you've made a critical error.
You've fallen for one of the classic blunders. The greatest is never get into a land war with Asia.
I think is to never underestimate a Sicilian, followed only slightly by not getting into a land war in Asia.
Yeah, something like that. It's so fast that, like, unless you're listening to it, it's like, again, to me, like, it's the best joke of the movie.
Hiya! Happy Easter!
If I could get the Whore of Babylon to be sponsored by a sex toy shop, I would.
Sure. I mean, I don't care.
I want to be sponsored by Bad Dragon.
I mean, that's a name of one? That's cool.
Yeah, they make, like, fake dragon dicks. They also sell cum lube and, like, dildos that shoot fake cum. I
made the mistake one time of thinking that it was like one of my wife's friends had one, and I thought it was a squirt gun.
No, you didn't. You're full of shit.
I didn't. I like because it was there, like, just like, and it like looks really cool, and it has a little pumpy thingy or whatever like that. And I'm like, oh right, can I put water in this thing? And she said, that's a dick. I'm like, oh okay. Because it's got a little thing.
Yeah, because you got a pump to make it.
Yeah, it's a super soaker.
That's what I thought. Just, not in the typical kid-like sense that I thought when I picked it up.
Okay.
They should make a Andre the Giant.
I
just want you to think you're doing very well.
All right, I'll wait till we get. All right. So, anything else on Fazzini?
I don't know if I'd say he's my favorite character, but this is one of the characters I actually do enjoy.
Guess Inigo is my favorite, but Fazzini is. I love them all. Like I just love every character in this movie more or less.
He has good comedic timing. I mean, there's a lot of good comedic timing in this movie, but I think he probably has the best.
Okay, so let's talk about Fezzik, played by Andre the Giant, and I had his actual name, and
good luck.
Andre Rene Rosimov.
So one of the reasons that I think a part of me doesn't like this movie might be like unresolved childhood trauma, because I'm sitting there watching it with my dad, and this big giant guy comes up on the screen, and that giant's cool, and my dad goes, yeah, he's dead now.
Jeez.
I think he probably phrased it better than that, but that's how I remember it.
I bet he didn't.
So I'm like, so every time I would think about this movie, I'd think about the poor, sad, dead giant.
I try to do a little research for this movie, and I think of all the things about this movie, the most information that you pull is stuff about Andre the Giant during this movie and the filming of it, because like he had such a rough time during the actual production of it.
One thing I read was that in terms of the people, this was one of the only projects he did where he felt like, except at this point in his life, this was the later stage of his life, and he was so weak that he couldn't pick anybody up like he does in the movie. Like when he picks up Buttercup, that's done with wires because he couldn't even lift her.
Ooh.
During the fight scene with Wesley, they had to use a stunt person for them to crawl around on, and they just put a thing on because he couldn't support
support Carrie Elways.
Yeah.
Because it's just like his bones and his muscles were just so weak from his condition, but also from years of wrestling.
Yeah.
And also he had a hard time with his lines. He couldn't deliver. His first language is French, and he couldn't deliver the lines, so he did his best on set, and then in post-production he had the script and he had to learn it phonetically, kind of the way like Jackie Chan and does it, and he just had to dub them over kind of phonetically, because apparently like the takes that they did on set, you couldn't understand them at all, and even as they are, like, you have to listen. You can't just like casually, like, you have to kind of actively listen to what he's saying to know exactly what he's saying.
Even so, I think Fezzik might be my favorite character, the sad giant.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
Yeah,
his fight with Wesley is is a high point for me, just because it is like Inigo's in the sense like they're both just complimenting each other.
That rock scares me every time. Whoa! Was this a fucking bomb?
He's like, I missed on purpose. I believe you.
I believe you. I missed on purpose.
Why do you... Can we also talk about how Carrie always predicted COVID?
Yeah. I believe that in the future, everyone will wear them. And Fezzik is like a trumper because as he doesn't like people who wears masks.
Yeah.
I do not trust them. What are you hiding?
Are you burned under there?
Is your face all melted? We're being those people.
I know.
Okay. All right. Chris Sarandon as Prince Humperdinck, which I'll just tell you the one thing that always sticks out to me about this character, which is just, it's so weird, but I just love it because it's such a fun detail. Because he could just be like that typical villain, but I love that he's like this amazing tracker. Mm-hmm. Because like, why does that have to be there? But it's just something that makes it feel. I don't even know. Like, somebody else talk. I'm sorry.
I wish he would be in a Saw movie so I could watch him die.
Please go on.
That's it. That's all I got.
Oh. I don't dislike him or anything like that. Like, I actually, like, considering what, I feel like it's hard to say anything about him that it wouldn't be said about anybody else. It's just like, I feel like everybody kind of gets their fair share of screen time, really. And even this guy, like, he could, like you said, he could so easily be written off as to be like, you know, he's just the arch nemesis of whatever. And he also is one of those people, like his comedic timing in things that aren't even really jokes. Like, it kills me whenever, like, his sheriff or whatever comes in.
The redhead guy.
Yeah, whenever he comes in to tell him again, and he's like, you know, come in. And then, like, the guy just looks at him and then he just, like, points at the chair.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a simple joke, but it gets me every time. And he's kind of in that same vein where, like, I think he's, you know, they just... The little extra things make me enjoy him.
What really kills me, the funniest part, is when Wesley bluffs him at the end of the movie, and he tells him to go sit in the chair, and the way he just scrambles into that chair, I just think is so funny.
Yeah.
He's like, please don't hurt me.
I think you're bluffing.
And I love that scene because if Humperdinck just could have had a pair, he could have just fucking killed Wesley.
Yeah.
And had his, Inigo probably would have killed him, but...
Yeah. He is also at the opposite end of what might be the most threatening delivery of something. I'm going to cut off everything except your ears.
Yeah. Oh, that was bad. So you can hear the children screaming as you want them. That was pretty great.
Yeah, even I'd have been like, I think I'll go sit in that chair. It's probably fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wouldn't have fought Wesley either.
Nah.
Okay. And the last character we have Christopher Guest, who plays Count Tyrone Rugen, a.k.a. the man with six fingers.
This guy was a dick, and man, he played it well.
He is one of my... I mean, I don't want to say, like, he's one of the... He's a really good movie villain.
Yeah, he sells his character. Like, you root against him.
And I love, like, his, like, facade. Mm-hmm. All the way through the movie until he finally comes face to face with Inigo and he just fucking runs. He just turns around and is like, fuck, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and the entire time he's a coward.
Yeah.
Like after that.
Throws a knife like a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the tumultuous part of that scene because like you get to that point where you think he's just such a bad dude, and then when he runs off, everything he does after that is so cowardly. Mm-hmm. Everything.
Yeah.
Like even to the point where it's
the movie tricks you into like building up in your head that he's like some amazing swordsman, but then like you realize
you think about it because he killed a guy who makes swords, not
and all he did was he slashed him in the heart.
Yeah,
it's not like they had some grand duel and then he beat up a kid.
Yeah.
So like, what is this guy even actually good at all? We don't know, but he just turns out he's just a cowardly little dink.
He's just a little psychopath.
Yeah.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Scary shit. Is this movie scary? And before you say no, the shrieking eels, the cliffs of insanity, the fire swamp, the rodents of unusual size, the pit of despair, the machine?
One of my worst fears is being tortured to death, so that always kind of gets to me.
Wesley's screams could be heard throughout the kingdom. I mean,
it's not quite like being eaten alive scary, but it's like it's in that top 5 spot.
And that rock, like if you had to fight Andre the Giant.
Oh no, you just told me how weak he was. I could win.
I mean, okay, in his prime.
That's me. Yeah. I'm sorry, Andre.
This segues nicely, actually, into the like all those things you just listed about how the practical effects of this movie are like just so good.
All right. Practical effects are outstanding.
Oh yeah, like this is like I would say like this is kind of where if you want to like look into how practical effects like can go with because this movie feels so low budget and
16 million.
But to me like it feels like such an independent film. Like and it shows a lot in the movie, but the stuff that really works, it really works. And I think it's really because like the rest of the film just feels very old-timey.
Yeah, I love, like, the 80s is my favorite decade for movies, and part of that is just the rampant use of practical effects, be it in fantasy, sci-fi, horror, and things that they just look good still today when you compare them to, like, 90s movies and early aughts movies. And sure, or CG looks good in modern movies, but is it still going to look good 10 years from now? No, but you can still go back and watch these movies and see the rodents of unusual size and the shrieking eels in it. If you're a little kid, it might, ooh, like that's a big rat.
Yeah. When I was a little kid, like I do remember seeing the rodents of unusual size scene, and like that one stuck with me for a few years because like those, you get older and you're like, oh, those are people. And I think that's what freaked me out so much about it is like they're people in rat suits running around, and it just weirded the shit out of me.
Maybe like aside from like Gabe getting hit by the truck, like the scene in any movie that scared me the worst as a kid was from The Dark Crystal, and the main Gelfling, when they did long shots, it wouldn't be a Muppet, it would be a person in a costume, and there's these long shots of the Gelflings scaling down cliffs. And when I was a kid, I was like, that Muppet's real. and it still gives me goosebumps when I see it to this day. Like, it's scary.
The Muppet's real. I can never look at Gonzo the same way again.
Oh my god, I wish Gonzo was real. That's so cool.
He'd be the size of like what he was in Muppet Treasure Island after they put him on the stockade.
I could play in the NBA! So we were playing Stardew Valley last night, and Emma, like, when we get animals, Emma likes to name them after book characters. She was naming her own character because we're doing a multiplayer farm. So she named her character Camilla after a character in a book. And I'm like, wow, Emma, I knew you liked the Muppets, but I didn't think you would name yourself after Gonzo's girlfriend. She's like, it's a character from a book, Dad.
Oh, your Emma impression is so good.
It's Gonzo's chicken girlfriend, Emma.
Kiss me, fat boy.
We're going to play Marry, Fuck, Kill with Inigo, Fezzik, and Fassini. Daniel, you're up first.
I'd fuck Inigo because of that chest hair.
Oh.
I'd marry Fezzik because I feel like he'd take care of me, like he'd be super nice, and I'd kill Fassini because he's a dick. I like him, but he's a dick.
Shit.
Basically the same, only when I kill Vicini, it will be because I am also invulnerable to iocane powder.
I am not. I'm not even invulnerable to talcum powder. But yeah, I had the same answers.
Yeah, I mean,
for basically the same reasons.
Yeah.
He's literally a gentle giant. I could marry no one else.
I'm gonna force myself to change my answers and come up with reasonings on the fly. Okay, I would marry Fassini because he would harass me into constantly being better than I am. I would kill Fezzik and put him out of his horrible pain from years of wrestling. Oh wait, no, that's still fucking Inigo. Okay, so I would fuck Fezzik But not out of pity.
Now, would you fuck him or would he fuck you? Because I don't know if you could take that dick.
We would just see what happened.
Okay.
We might start with phone sex.
You'd have to have the phone dialogue dubbed to you.
And then I guess I'd have to kill Inigo. I don't know how that with nerve gas.
Yes, you're wee.
Wee.
That's the part I want.
Oh my God! Are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz. Daniel, what is your king for The Princess Bride?
The acting, I think, like, just across the board is pretty strong. I think that everyone has... This is probably one of the few movies where I think everyone has good chemistry as opposed to, like, highlighted chemistry. And it's impressive because the cast is pretty big.
Yeah. No, I agree. My king is... it's the blend of humor and drama. I think it's completely unique.
I had several kings, but ultimately I decided it's the Inigo scene at the end. It's just that scene always just gives me chills. It's just, again, it's to me it's the high point of just really just any character that I've seen. Like it's all this. It's so little build up, but then you get it, and it's just so much more than you expect. And I get chills every time I watch it.
Yeah, I love it. Daniel, your Koontz.
The framing.
The framing narrative.
Yeah, I'm just doing
the frame narrative.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't have one.
My Koontz is, for the first time, I wish it was longer.
I like that it's 90 minutes, but I mean, yes, I would enjoy more of it, but like when I sat down to watch it the other night with Emma, I was like, oh, how long is it's 90 minutes? Yeah. It's like, it feels like every movie is like two and a half to 3 hours.
I would really like some like big Hollywood movies to just be 90 minutes again.
Yeah. And
like a good 90 minutes.
And it's really just like comedies. I swear like comedies are the only thing that can like stick to 90 minutes. And some of them even go closer to 2 hours.
A lot of them do now. I'm like...
And kids movies too. Like a lot, even like Pixar and Disney, like some of them are stretching closer to 2 hours.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're getting, I think the last several movies I've watched with Lily, I mean, they're bridging that 2 hour mark, and I'm like, this is a lot.
And I like good long movies.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just my attention span fades more often than not.
It just becomes more of an investment every time.
Yeah, it's hard for me to watch new movies because of that. It's not that I don't enjoy them by the time they're done, but sometimes those ones that you don't like as much, it gets. Oh, it's such a slog.
You are up first for ranking.
I mean, I don't even know why. I mean, it's number one. I mean, it's not close. Funny that you brought this one up because I was sitting there being like this is absolutely unfair in terms of movies. Like, this is just because this is probably like one of my top 10 movies. Period.
If you eliminated Star Wars, it might be in my top 10.
Yeah.
Okay. For me. The same as Hef, but different. It is my number one, but it was close between it and Gremlins. It was always going to be my 1, my 2, or my 3. I think of all the movies we've watched, which we've done 107 now, there's only 4 of those that I could put on at any time, and those are Goosebumps, Gremlins, It, and The Princess Bride.
Of the 5 greatest movies.
So it was hard for me to decide where it lays among the 3, but I think ultimately quality of film wise, I think it's, and enjoyment wise, I think it's the best. Maybe at some points, maybe I enjoy It and Gremlins a little more, but the difference is nostalgia. I've watched It and Gremlins since I was a kid, and nostalgia is not a factor for The Princess Bride because I've seen it for the first time as an adult, and it's just pure filmmaking competency. It's one of the best movies ever made. It's my number one. Then we'll go to Daniel. It's his number one. It's better than The Ring.
No, you're gonna have to scroll down, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
Not that far down.
Okay, that's good.
I think I like it better than... Okay. I like it more than Five Nights at Freddy's.
Wow, that's high praise.
I like it less than Reanimator, so that's going to be the range. Somewhere between there. But put it right below Battle Royale.
So it is your new number 24, above Evil Dead 2 and below Battle Royale.
Because I think I'd watch this before I'd watch any of the Evil Dead movies again.
Yeah. Which is funny because those are the two secret layers that we had to give away.
Hello, Mr. Stein.
Hello, Mr. Black. Who's that? He's the new drama teacher.
Rankings. Okay, Zombie Day. I had some things. So Cary Elwes had a rough time of this movie too. He actually went ATV riding with Andre the Giant before.
They had an ATV ride.
I guess.
Or is he like a clown on a little unicycle?
I don't know. But he broke his toe in an ATV accident the day before they filmed the fight scene between Andre and Cary. And he didn't tell Rob Reiner about it because he was afraid he would be fired. So he did that scene with a broken toe without telling Rob Reiner. And then when he and Buttercup leave the fire swamp and they get captured and the Count hits him on the head and knocks him out, they were having trouble getting that scene and making it look good because they were doing like a stage hit. And Cary Elwes said, just hit me for real. So they did it and filmed it. And Cary Elwes woke up in the hospital with stitches in his head because the guy knocked him out for real. But that's the cut they used in the movie.
Oh, I love it. That's like The Exorcist, where people got like actually hurt and they just kept it in the film.
Viggo Mortensen breaks his foot in the Lord of the Rings and they kept it in.
Fucking deflected a knife.
Yeah.
What an ass.
And there in The Office, there's this really funny opening bit where Dwight is sitting on an exercise. He's replaced his office chair with an exercise ball and he's getting on Jim's nerves. And the punchline of the scene is that Jim takes a pair of scissors and punctures the exercise ball, and it comes out from under Dwight and he hits the floor. And they did several takes of that, trying to do it safely, where it didn't look right. So in the last take, they do it for real, and Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight, really just bam and hits the floor, and that's what they used.
I got one for you. The scene, the episode where it's after the Utica branch comes in, and it's where they all have to go into different groups and like go out and
make sales calls.
Yeah. The scene where Dwight's talking to Jim and then Jim just slaps him. Yeah, that's like a real slap.
That is such a Daniel moment.
Yeah.
So Dwight and Jim are walking into the building, and Dwight as Jim go in front of him. And Jim's like, why do you always have me walk in front of you? And he's like, well, because 60% of attacks come from behind. And Jim says, well, that still leaves a 40% chance that I'll attack you from the front. He says, yeah. And Dwight says, yeah, but I'll deflect it.
He slaps him. Yeah. Before, I guess they tried. It's the same deal. They had like several takes. It just didn't look right. So like at one point, but it was because he wasn't smacking him like in a real decent way. So I think Rainn Wilson said, "Don't tell me when you're going to do it. Just belt me when you do it." So he does. So the look on his face is actually genuine surprise because he didn't know it was coming. And if you watch as Jim's leaving, John Krasinski, like his smile cracks a bit because of how hard he hit him. He wasn't expecting to smack him that hard.
Wallace Shawn was Rob Reiner's third choice to play Fazzini, and Wallace Shawn had huge anxiety because he thought he was going to be fired every day he was on set. Okay, the sword fight between Cary Elwes and Mandy Patinkin was no stunt doubles. All them except for where they do the flips.
With the flipping,
Yeah. They trained for months to learn how to do that. And all of the fencing techniques mentioned in the movie are real fencing techniques. Okay, homework. Tell us the story of Inigo Montoya as the new Dread Pirate Roberts. And I'm assuming Fezzik is his first mate. Just assuming. Hef, I know you got something for this.
In my headcanon, what actually happens with Inigo Montoya is he does do piracy for a little while, but eventually he gets caught before he can find an heir. So he has to... he basically escapes to Mexico, where he eventually becomes Zorro.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So he becomes the Dread Pirate Roberts, and Fezzik is his first mate. But unfortunately, Wesley was learning all of those things and learning defense, he didn't know a lot about ship maintenance. So it turns out the wood in Wesley's ship is kind of weak, and they're out at sea, and Fezzik falls through the ship, and the ship sinks, and they both drown and die.
That was a twist ending. I wasn't expecting that.
I thought mine was gonna be kind of sad. He realizes that spending his entire lifetime only aiming for revenge has left him an empty husk of a human being with no personality. So every time he starts a conversation with his shipmates, it's, I killed the man who killed my father, and eventually they're all just like, we know!
That's still funny. I thought you were going to say he committed suicide.
No. He just can't make any friends because he only has the one trait.
He has Fezzik. That's fine. Okay, for further reading, for me, there's nothing. I mean, there are other great fantasy movies from the 80s, but this, to me, there's nothing like this out there. It's a unique movie, in my opinion.
I have one that's kind of in the same vein of it. Chastise me, if you will, for this recommendation. But it's A Christmas Story.
You know what? That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tone is kind of similar.
Yeah. And it's also based off of a book that's meant to...
The Christmas Story is based off
It's based on a novel, yeah.
Yeah, novel, yeah.
The title of the novel is different. It's like Red Ryder BB Guns or something.
I can't remember what the original book is. But yeah, it's the guy who's narrating the book, or the movie, is the author of the book. Like, the voice of whoever it is that's narrating throughout that movie. John Shepard, yeah. He wrote the book, and
In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash is the name of the novel.
That is such a stupid-ass title, but I want to read it.
Yet another book where, I'm fond of the movie and have never read the book it's based on.
I'm afraid to.
I am very... See, that one I am afraid to
That
read.
one, there's no way it lives up. I literally will spend Christmas watching this movie all day.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are, now that I'm thinking about it, they are kind of similar. I think A Christmas Story is a little more pure comedy, but there is some real drama in that movie as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And it does have the kind of you're being fed the information from somebody else who's, kind of this overall
but
presence.
Without the metafiction that triggers Daniel so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. It's definitely, I think, in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Okay. Upcoming on the Horror of Babylon, this Sunday is our next book episode, where we are not really reviewing, but we are reading in the episode live, Charlie the Choo Choo by Beryl Evans, who is actually Stephen King. Watch out, Daniel. There's metafiction.
See, that doesn't bother me, because the fictional layers are different.
You're right. Yeah, I understand. And then the next Sunday, we are wrapping up our Sleepy Hollow coverage for now. We might come back and do the Jeff,
good ones.
the Jeff Goldblum and the Ed Begley Jr. ones.
Yeah.
But sounds better than this one. We are watching and reviewing Sleepy Hollow from 1999, the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow. And then our next two bonus episodes on Thursday, March 14th, we are watching and reviewing Leprechaun, the second greatest slasher franchise of all time. And then the next Thursday the 21st, we are watching and reviewing Eat, Pray, Love. I'm sorry, Prey. Predator.
I actually felt the heat off of his body rise up.
I had to look. I was like...
This is not the time, Suze. But what it is the time for is to say thank you to our patrons. Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben, the Fourth Patron of the Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yeah.
Oh, and thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit in Morgantown, West Virginia at the Morgantown Mall, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the Mall at Robinson. You can shop online at shop.forhorsemancomics.com, and the proprietor with 6 fingers is Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. When I said, hey Ron, Daniel would like to add some Suicide Squad book to his pull, and he said, as you wish.
I'm gonna swoon a little bit.
So guys, thank you for watching The Princess Bride and recording with me tonight.
I would do it again.
We should do a second episode on The Princess Bride. We'll do another one drunk.
Oh, please.
Hey, let's just change our watch along to The Princess Bride.
That would probably... I've never seen Willy's Wonderland.
No one would be able to hear the movie over us.
Just cackling. I've never watched it drunk.
I'll get us some Fireball.
No, I won't drink that. That stuff's gross.
Okay, I'll get us some Wild Turkey Honey.
I've had that.
Is that better than Fireball?
It is better than Fireball.
But what isn't?
I've had the Wild Turkey Honey, and it can get away from me pretty quick.
Yeah, that's why I like it.
Yeah. Like, you don't... Because it's not real, like... I'm not big on sweet alcohol.
Yeah, that's the reason why Fireball fucks me up, because it tastes like I'm drinking sugar.
See, I can't have alcohol and sugar.
Yeah, I chocolate beer.
I can't do that.
I could have, I can have 1 or 2 like Mike's Hards in a year. Like,
yeah,
I'll get us a small bottle.
I want my beer to be beer and my liquor to be liquor if I'm having it. So I got but
so you know how much you're drinking.
Well, but the honey one it's just there enough to like kind of make it smoother going down. So that's kind of like why I say it'll fuck you up pretty good.
I haven't had just liquor, and I've just had beer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials. Thank you again to Four Horsemen for sponsoring this episode, and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
Stay scary, folks.
Congratulations to the winner of our MTG Princess Bride Secret Lair, Dr. G. McGee, who commented on one of our videos on TikTok. Thank you, and you stay scary, Dr. G. McGee.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.
The Prince's Bride. By S. Morgenstern, Chapter 1. Buttercup was raised on a small farm in the country of Florida. Her favorite pastimes were riding her horse and tormenting the farm boy that worked there. His name was Wesley, but she never called him that. Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, it's really good.
Nothing gave Buttercup as much pleasure as ordering Wesley around.
Farm boy, polish my horse's saddle. I want to see my face shining in it by morning.
As you wish.
As you wish was all he ever said to her.
Farm boy, fill these with water. Please.
As you wish.
That day, she was amazed to discover that when he was saying, as you wish, what he meant was, I love you. And even more amazing was the day she realized she truly loved him back.
Farm boy. Fetch me that picture.
As you wish.
The end. Now, I think you ought to go to sleep. Okay. 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 All right. Shalom.
Grandpa? Maybe you could come over and read it again to me tomorrow.
As you wish.